Hi folks, how's it going? It's pumpkin season. Okay, no, I'm not actually going to eat this pumpkin raw, and I hope you can see me. I have been having a heck of a week because I have a craving for pumpkin custard. This is my favorite time of year, pumpkins, and we're coming up to Canadian Thanksgiving in a couple of weeks. It's like a month and a bit earlier than the US Thanksgiving, but I really love everything pumpkin, not just the pumpkin spice, like pumpkin spice coffee or pumpkin spice tea, pumpkin spice ice cream. No, I actually like the pumpkin and then put some spices in it. So I have this can of pumpkin from Loblaws, or No Frills. It's the No Name brand. For Canadians, you'll understand what I mean by no name. For Americans, it's just the store brand and they call it No Name. I could, for actual Thanksgiving, I'm going to make an actual pumpkin pie from scratch from a pie pumpkin. But for today, because I really have a craving, I want this pumpkin pie now. And I'm going to do an experiment, and I'm going to bake half of it so that I can have some pumpkin custard as my dessert this evening. But I'm going to dehydrate the other half and see how that goes so that I can take it on a backpacking trip later. So what I want is 2 cups, 2 cups, 1 cup is 235 milliliters. So I'm going to measure out 2 cups of pumpkin puree. And for those of you who maybe don't get your recipes to work out correctly and you can't figure out why, you might be using your dry ingredients cups for wet ingredients, or you might be using your wet ingredients cups for dry ingredients. So this is intended for dry ingredients. So I want 2 cups of pumpkin, which is going to be probably this whole can. And I would do this in my kitchen, but my kitchen is just way too small for me and all of you in there. So, scrape out this can of all of the yummy pumpkin. Who else really likes pumpkin? Pumpkin everything, not just the spices. Because when you get the pumpkin spice coffee, say at Starbucks or whatever, there's not actual pumpkin in it. It's just the spices. It's not pumpkin. So like they should just call it, I don't know, fall spices or something. Anyway, so there's my 2 cups of pumpkin, and then I want 1 cup or 250 milliliters of coconut milk. Now I use coconut milk because I like the taste of it, and for a long time I was not eating or drinking dairy products at all, so I switched to plant-based milks and mostly coconut milk. And this one has solidified itself in the can. So I want to try and make sure to get the cream as well as the liquid. And I just want 1 cup. So there's 1 cup of coconut milk. You can use cream, like dairy cream. I know a lot of original pumpkin pie recipes use, I think, evaporated milk or something like that. But I just use coconut milk, full fat coconut milk, not low fat, not light. And then I want 2 eggs. This is what kind of makes it a custard. And I forgot something in the fridge. the best, well, the second best part of a pumpkin custard. Maple syrup. Now, a lot of people will make pumpkin pies or pumpkin custards. To my taste buds, they make them way too sweet. So I usually only put about a quarter of a cup of maple syrup. So a quarter of a cup is 2 fluid ounces, or about 60 milliliters, 60. So I'm going to put all of that in there. And then I'm going to add my spices. My spices, I've got cinnamon. I tend to use true cinnamon or Ceylon rather than cassia cinnamon, cassia, I'm not sure how you say that. And I put in a whole tablespoon of cinnamon. Yes, a whole tablespoon of cinnamon, because I like cinnamon and it's really, really good for you. And then ginger. Whoops. I want some ginger in here, and I'm going to put 1 teaspoon of ginger. And you can use nutmeg or mace. Nutmeg is a nut, so if you have nut allergies or intolerances, use mace instead. So I'm going to use the nutmeg this time, and I'm only going to put in a little bit more than a quarter teaspoon. And then cloves. This is what makes a perfect fall spiced anything, is cloves, and I have so very little left. So I only use about 1/8 of a teaspoon of cloves because they are very, very strong. And then we're just going to mix this up. Mixing, mixing, mixing. So what is your favorite part about fall, your favorite foods? Now, in Canada and the US, we have Thanksgiving in the fall. In Canada, ours is earlier because our growing season is shorter than in the US, and because our original Thanksgiving, the very first Thanksgiving in Canada, was way back in 1600 something or 1500 something maybe. And the early settlers were just thankful to have made it through the horrible winter, so they had a Thanksgiving party in the spring. So we just mix all of this up until it's smoothish. And then I'm going to put half of this, I think I snorted some cinnamon. I'm going to put half of this into the dehydrator, and then I'm going to cook the other half. So I'll come back in just a second while I go get the dehydrator trays. Hi. Okay, so I'm just going to take some of this custardy stuff, and I'm going to spread it on the dehydrator tray with some parchment paper. And then I'm just going to stick it in the dehydrator for a few hours and see what happens. So you will have to come back later on another episode to see what actually happens with the custard. So I'm going to try and, well, I am spreading this as evenly and as thin as possible so that it dries evenly, and and it will dry quickly. If you have it too thick, then it's not going to dry it's going to take forever to dry. If you have, you know, like a big blob over here and it's really thin over here, then it's not going to dry evenly. So you want to make it as even as possible. So there's one. I think I can do 2 trays. And then I'm going to take this on a backpacking trip in late October that I have planned. I just booked the other day, so you will have to wait to see that. It's going to be quite the adventure. It's not going to be like my 2-week trip that I did last year, but it's going to be pretty cool. And then I will put it in the dehydrator, and you'll get to see it in about a month. I know, I'm such a tease. Catch you later.